Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast, where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I am your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
Peace and love, Black Power family. I go by the name of Brother King Exeter. You don't say the brother, please don't say nothing at all. Thank you for tapping in to your favorite show. If this is your first time watching, welcome home to your favorite show. Alrighty, so before we get into the main event for tonight, Juice will let you open up with a quick topic.
Okay. Current event. We have a situation that happened with a lady by Kalisha Hood. It was a situation that popped off at a restaurant where a man named Jordan Brown ended up dying. He ended up getting assassinated or killed by Kalisha Hood's son, who was 14 years old. They went to jail at first, trying to press them with charges. All charges have been dropped since that situation. And man, I don't know if anybody's seen the incident, but I must say that was a crazy incident. 14-year-old defended his mother and also putting himself in that type of situation. I would say for sure, shout out to the young brother for protecting his mother. But there were some points within that video. I also look at it myself. One of the things was simple, like, was there a way to de-escalate this situation before it ever arose to that certain point? As I'm looking at the video, this is me personally. I'll take some for it. I noticed the man was warning the woman, right? If a man is telling you, hey, if you keep doing something, you're antagonizing. When you antagonize and provoke people, actions eventually escalate. So I'm asking myself, could all that type of situation have been avoided at the same time? Unfortunately, it didn't, but I'm also want to ask people, like, if you see the perspectives or you've seen the energy that was rising, why did anybody intervene? That's another thing. Everybody wanted to pull out their camera and film, but nobody wanted to stop the actions and activities. I don't know what's going on in the world. We want to record first instead of saving lives first, or prevent incidents from happening. So that's another thing I want to put out there. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on too much. X, what did you think about the situation?
I agree with you to those points. It's just sad to say that we live in a community of chaos and conflict. And sad to say the only result that we know is violence. Even if it's a situation that we deem as self-defense or it's just straight out just harsh chaos and violence. In this type of situation, no, it's not permissible for a man to do what he did to a woman. I mean, them punches, you can hear them. Like, that was straight fist work. You know what I'm saying? Like, most dudes in that position, they feel like they gotta, I don't know, fight a woman. It wasn't no open-handed nothing. It was like knockout blows. And, but what's sad to me the most is a 14-year-old young man should never feel completely responsible to defend his mother in a violent situation. Like, everybody's talking about the man and the woman, but what about the little boy? You know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't have been in a position to where he had to go to those extreme measures to protect his mother. That's a narrative within the Black community that we have to visit. Like, oftentimes, like, it shouldn't be situations where a boy has to step into a man's position and take a life at the sake of protecting his mother. Not saying he should allow his mother to get abused. Not saying that, but that's going back to what you were saying on de-escalating the situation in some shape, form, or fashion. I think that young man definitely should be in therapy. You know what I mean? Like I said, all charges were dropped, but I think the community needs to probably get into that lady's ear and be like, yo, your son may need some help after what just transpired. That's a traumatic experience. You know what I'm saying? So we have to do better as a community, no doubt. And key point you brought up, people felt a need to record faster than to intervene. And it's just very sad, man. It's sad to see that type of thing go down, and it's sad that young man had to step into those shoes. So you got it. And it go back to what we say all the time, you know what I'm saying? If we have a structured family, you know what I'm saying? If we have a man and a woman, 9 times out of 10, maybe she would have been with a man that would have been able to protect her versus a 14-year-old son going through that traumatic experience. So before we applaud the 14-year-old boy for what he did, let's think about the trauma that he probably have to endure for the rest of his life based on what transpired.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I want to say thank you for saying that, bringing that up. We don't know what that child is going to go through in that situation. Right? We're going to look at some. The internet's crazy now. He's protecting his mother. Hey, he's a hero. Like you said, we're also looking at the after effect. Like, hey, listen, what's going to happen to him? Because you know what I'm saying. Um, Trauma effects can be very detrimental to an individual. He's 14 right now. That's when a lot of things as young men we start coming to realizations, coming to consciousness of. Um, like I said, some people are gonna look at him as a hero, and you're gonna have other people be like, "Listen, man, he can take that and run with it." Be like, "Listen, this also happens." Some people take it like, "Yeah, man, I caught my first body, got away with it." Hey, hey, bro, come on, man. But like I said, I I feel like that whole thing should have been de-escalated. You have situations where young boys are, like I said, they have to step into the role of being the protector of their mother at such a young age, or being a man within that situation. I'm also looking at it like how well was he already prepared to step in. So that's another thing. But yeah, that's all I got right there, brother. All right, guys, we got a good one for y'all tonight. We got a good one for y'all. We have the Daily Rapper Cool and Dr. Umar Johnson's interview. I watched this interview 3 times. Not gonna lie to you, I loved it that much. One thing about listening to Dr. Umar, he'll make me feel like, hey, you need to pick up a goddamn book and read. Right? One thing, he starts using that vocabulary. He starts getting very systematic, breaking things down on a psychological basis, sociology basis, global basis. It's like I live for moments like that, just to hear another black man talk on that type of level. And he's, man, like I said, it was incredible. I like the back and forth they had, the subject that was being thrown at them, and we're just here to discuss it. We're gonna give our own different viewpoints. This is a reaction video, whatever you want to call it. Or we have, I kind of wrote down some bulletins. I didn't know if you want to freestyle it. Yeah, the situation you was talking about, the gender war, American foreign policy, selective blackness, going to war for reparations, the identity crisis, fixing the division within America, Africans, and global problem, multi-systemic, disorganized to organized. Like it's a whole bunch of different subjects we're going to be touching upon it. What is one subject you would like to bring it to light, or did you want to just open up with something you have?
Um, I'll just open up with the mere fact that I think we have to establish some type of hierarchy within the black community amongst men, to where we have certain respect factors that's implemented. I've seen different people do reaction videos, and they made it seem like Umar was the aggressor, when in actuality, I seen it kind of like in reverse. I seen it as this guy that was interviewing him, where you had a panel of like 3 men interviewing him, and the other 2 men was like, okay, even though I don't want to see where you're coming from, I get what you're saying.
Hmm?
And you had just one that just kept saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Like, couldn't just let it go. So I would just say, on a standpoint of that level, like, establishing a hierarchy is like, we have to separate a specific type of black man amongst other black men. And when you have that revolutionary type of black man, I think it's very important that you listen more than you disagree. And of course, there may be some disagreements, because a revolutionary mind state is completely different from the norm. You know what I mean? That means this person has dedicated their entire being and life from sun up to sundown, from their, you know what I'm saying, to their last breath, is devoted to a particular cause, which is to uplift his people. That's Umar's whole thing. So of course, when he breaks down these type of situations, he kept saying, historically, this is what led to black women becoming combative or whatever the way that they are now. And the point that the guys were trying to argue in the beginning were modern time. This is where we at now. This is what's going on. So I don't think they spent enough, well, one person, I don't think he spent enough time listening, because he was so busy trying to be combative. And I'm like, okay, bet. If that was Malcolm X sitting down, getting interviewed, would you argue with him? That was Martin Luther King sitting down, would you argue with him? Would it be that important to prove your point when you have that type of person sitting in your proximity? So I just think we gotta learn when to have conversations that we agree on. Like, let's say me and you agree on that, and that's how we rock. We can have that conversation later. That's disrespectful to have that back and forth with that person that's we should look it up to in that sense. You know what I mean? So that would be my opening into it. I think, especially as black men, we have to listen more than we respond and disagree with our opinions. So you got it.
Okay. Well, like I said, I got some bullets and things. I pretty much we'll basically hit the episode in order. You know what I'm saying? Give our thoughts. I think that'll be easy for everybody to follow along. The only thing I got to say on that's what you said is, um, do I feel like men should have a pushback against our elders? No, but I also will say this: when it comes to our elders, it's best to get to try to ask certain questions to get the knowledge and wisdom that they already have upon them so we understand if we come certain areas, this is why they're already in that position to lead us into a better place. So yeah, that's just a little comment I wanted to make because do I feel like individuals should be questioned? Yes, I feel like everybody should be questioned. But do I feel like in certain areas, do you actually should even go that route? Absolutely no. Like, what I'm saying? I'm not gonna argue with a professional who's done his work and has a track record. But I might have questions, but I'm not gonna argue with him over it. Okay. So one of the things they talked about was the gender war. One of the main things Dr. Umar said that really caught my attention. He said, "Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if the gender war was on a base from the CIA from the federal to the government, the quid pro quo situation that they threw out there to now divide black men amongst black women." What do you think about that situation? That really stood out to me because as I looked at the gender war, sometimes I always like to look at what happens in one race first before it travels to another race, right? One thing I was talking about in Clubhouse, I started learning that some of the things that go on in the black community is mutual in different communities and different cultures. So I'm like, damn, I didn't think that happened because on social media, all I see is my people. But then I learned it's going on in there. So um,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the government could have an insight on that, or could that possibly just be the push of social media influence and the technology behind it that's amplifying it?
I think he was being very political with that statement.
Mhm.
Uh, it's not a if 10, 20, 30 years from now we find out that the government has something to do with the gender-based
Right.
wars within the community. It's an absolute fact. It's factual. Like we can study um, the black marriage rate, the family structure prior to the us losing all the factories out of the black communities. This is what opened up the door for black men to be involved in criminal activity prior to mass incarceration. Black men had the jobs. White males were being massively incarcerated. So they flipped the scenario. They took the jobs out of the black communities and then started white labor unions that would hire white males, get them out of the prison, stop them from going into the prisons. So they opened up the gateway for black men to be involved into street politics, street economics, the whole street life. So the more black men go into the street world, right, and then you have the collapse of losing your job, having things taken away from you, you not being able to be the provider. We seen in the shows like Snowfall, where Franklin's father became an alcoholic because he was a Black Panther, and then he seen how the Black Panthers just got washed systematically. So he picked up a bottle. You feel me? So now his son grows up without a father, and now poverty. This is the same thing that happened with back in those days. So you have that going on. You have a feminist movement to where black women were co-opted into a movement that gave them more liberation and more rights, but it also pinned them against their men, right? But you have all these different things going on simultaneously at one time, all destroying the thing that we call the black family. It destroyed the structure right before our eyes. So that's definitely COINTELPRO behavior. We look at even the Black Panthers. They pinned the Black Panthers against each other, East Coast versus West Coast, and amongst other tactics to keep them drained economically and keep them fighting for their lives in court. We even seen similar strategies where people broke down the East Coast versus West Coast war, how the media made it a war, right? Those were similar tactics that was implemented in black organizations. So needless to say, we know for a fact that the government, like you said, COINTELPRO, FBI, CIA, we know 100% that these factors destroyed the black family. Now, that's what he was referencing when he said, like, the black man has a history in this, right? It's systematic, right? And some of it was mental. You could look at it as like a psychological breakdown of a man, you know what I'm saying, having more and more things taken from him over time.
Mhm.
But that's what he was referencing. So now you take the woman that's left at the forefront of all of that, never got over her abuse, constantly getting abused, trashed by society, and then it becomes a conflict between her and her man. That's going to give life to a whole new breed of black women. That's going to give life to a whole new breed of black men, to where you figure, fuck it, the legal shit ain't even for me, because they're going to take it from me anyway. I might as well get it in blood, get it in the street. So it's just funny how, like I said, he was getting pushback, and I'm like, do we not come from the hood? Do we not see what goes on a day-to-day basis? So yeah, most definitely, they fucked up our family structure. That's not a secret. We're just running around in a rat race, so busy battling each other. We're not really looking internally, seeing how did this systematic oppression affect me as a man? How did it affect you as a woman? Because the same hood that made me a blood or a crip or a gangster or a drug dealer quicker than I could have became a doctor or a lawyer, or you know what I'm saying, or an investor, is the same hood she grew up in. You know what I'm saying? I think we forget that as black men. She grew up in the same environment. So she's going to be disenfranchised. She's not going to be in her feminine state at the same time, just like we're not going to be in our masculine state, because out of fear and the trauma. So you got
All right, all right, all right. That's what's up, man. Next bulletin I got right here is the American foreign policy. One thing he always talked about was, listen, unless you connected to a specific, how you want to say, a ethnic group, a culture, or a commodity, you'll forever be attacked and never win, right?
mm,
We talked about how Chinese Americans was able to get the law passed so fast. People were like, well, how is it that Chinese people get a law quicker than black people? And we forget that there's a trade amongst each other with America and China. So
mm,
they know that if anything breaks out with their people, we got to respond to it before we lose a life, right?
mm,
Meaning, that's why the law was passed so quick with the incidents happened with the Chinese American. Also, we can look at Delta Airlines. I don't know if y'all remember when they threw that Asian out of Delta Airlines.
mm, mm,
They took a big hit for a good week before
mm,
they realized, okay, we got to clean this up. I don't think y'all understand. Like, if you act as one, then everything will get corrected. But if you act as separate entities, separate individuals, separate race, whatever you want to call it, nothing gets 100% affected because we're all acting as individuals. So,
mm.
what are your thoughts on the American foreign policy?
Um, he brought up a key point, and they didn't bring up his name, but Lyndon B. Johnson would be the president that's responsible for passing a memorandum that disconnected Africans from the content from African Americans.
Mhm.
And he's also responsible for the churches not being like political anymore, because now they had tax exemption by staying out of political affairs through the what is it, the 501c3s. So needless to say, black wouldn't be a race by definition, because there is no quote unquote black nation to give birth, quote unquote, to black people. It's like a misnomer of an identity. So that's why people say, what's your ethnicity? A person could say, I'm Chinese American, because that China is actually a country, right? That's a nation. And you're American by way of where you're born, maybe, or where you're living at currently. So you're Chinese American based on those standards. So that's an ethnicity. When we say black, black doesn't link us to a specific area.
Correct.
We say African American, Africa is a continent. So we can't claim the whole continent. We have to claim a nation. So we're not linked to individual nations. So we're like the the nomads. We like the bastards of ethnicity by saying black, African American, Afro American, Negro. These type of things don't exist within a political construct. So that's why a lot of people learn these things and they get quick on sovereignty. being able to identify themselves through uh, through the laws of pretty much being able to identify with the ethnicity of choice. You know what I mean? So that's another conversation. But yeah, it's definitely a negative with us. And also, yes, the Asian hate bill was passed not just because of the power of Asia and China and all these different things. You got to look at it. They even fear Chinese gangs, even on the lowest level. Those people have a backing, not just as an ethnicity, but even these street gangs will go out and protect them. You feel me? So you can't just go out and whoop his ass, shoot him on public, and there's no consequences whatsoever. And I'm not trying to jump too far ahead of the argument, but when Umar was taking his shots at black men, you have to really understand what we're doing right now. It's 2023, and there shouldn't be any reason that a white male can kill a black person. We all see his name, his face, and they still live to go tell the story and walk around free. They should be fucked up at every turn of the second. You know what I'm saying? Like the same mentality that we implement with each other. Yo, I heard such and such disrespected you. That person killed your homie. You, it's all out war. 30, 40, 50, 60-year wars, and we just steady shooting each other. But somebody from an opposing race, they kill a person from your race on TV, on social media, don't get justice. Like you don't get the justice in court, and they still walk around free. Zimmerman's still walking around. So even on the lowest level, yeah, these people have ethnicity, they have nations, but they also have street soldiers that will put in fucking work because they feel like that person belonged to their race, their group. Black men don't get down like that. So that's another liberty that other races have against us. They know if they knock one of us off, they still can walk around freely, untouched, unharmed. We can rap about it, you know what I'm saying? But we're not gonna have that same energy that we would have with each other if we just stepped on a person's shoe, looked at somebody the wrong way, boom, bullet in the head. So we have to have that same gang energy when it's called for. So when he took his shots at black men, I'm like, he's not wrong. We're the only group, probably within this nation for sure, probably within the planet, that people know if I go kill a black person, I'm straight. The court system may let me walk, but even if I walk, ain't no black people at random gonna fuck me up or harm my family because they don't get down like that. So you got.
All right, all right. I want to give an example of something that he just said right now. There's a YouTuber that slash Twitch streamer and name was called Johnny Somalian. Johnny Somalian was terrorizing other people. Well, I won't say terrorizing, but he was being very racial and stereotypical to people in Japan. He's in Japan, and he was basically just doing empty threats, making fun of Japanese people while he's in Japan. Multiple times after that incident, when it aired through YouTube, the streams, random Japanese people was running up on this man. He said, "Listen, you walked up on somebody else that wasn't gonna do shit, but I'll do shit. Like, let's make sure you do it now." He was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Nah, bro. Like, I'm streaming. Like, nah, we don't care about none of your streaming." The dude cannot even go outside in Japan and live like that ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say like, oh well, he's in Japan and he's running up with Japanese people. Listen, I know some Asians out here that get down. So like I said, to something that he said, I'm just giving you an example. Like so, I do. Hey, that is something right there. Next market we go to is selective blackness. Individuals who claim to be black when it's beneficial, then when it's over, hey, I ain't black no more.
Mm-hmm.
What you call it? The story of OJ. I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Okay.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, man, like one thing we're gonna always do is make things entertainment and just make sure y'all understand
Mm-hmm.
what we're talking about. You have that. You have individuals like shoot, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had a situation that I can't remember the exact guy's name. He bought his jersey for $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Hey, look, Mike, I just bought your jersey. I just want your signature." First thing come out of his mouth was, "Hey, man, get this nigga out of my face." In fact, if you want to be if you want to even get more technical, a lot of business and associations, Jordan start doing is you can tell is he start bridging the gap
Mhm.
between him and his people and the people he want to be around with. He bridged the gap so much that one of them turned around and fucked him in the ass when it came to his own franchise team. On the surface, we're still looking at it as that he made a big flip, but we're starting to learn it wasn't what happened was surface level. The smoke and mirror is what's now being revealed what really happened. But like I said, selective blackness, like I said, individuals who claim to be black for beneficial purposes. I talked about it a couple times, like for instance, when Black Lives Matter had the incident, I noticed like some people were being like, "Yeah, I'm black," and then when it was over, nobody want to be black no more, right? This was times where restaurants were like, "Hey, listen, do we let them know we're black now, or we just stick to how it is?" You know, like it's listen, it's so much. Not even. I'm talking about just on a business level. I'm talking about individual level. This is very big, right? Because when situations heat up, it's okay if you're biracial to claim the other race, right?
Mhm.
When situations heat up, you're no longer African American. You could just say, "Listen, I'm Haitian." But you know what I'm saying? We always talk about how you even uh, bubble your ethnicity or race in is
Mhm.
kind of like a tally mark
Mhm.
for what you'll get benefited as versus if you're a different race and ethnicity. But yeah, that's all I got right there, man. What do you think about the situation of selective blackness when it comes to individuals and
Yeah,
group organizations?
yeah. I don't fuck with Africans like he's Dr. Umar. Selective blackness. Look, the most selective black people is the people oftentimes that we idolize. You had people like Jesse Jackson that was like at the root of like the whole shit with Martin Luther King, and it's like as soon as Dr. King took that bullet, it's like a lot of people that was around him kind of like piped down.
Yeah, they're like,
The,
I don't
the
know,
bullet, he
man.
was like, Black Power, Black Power. Okay, alrighty. So let's just talk politics. That's like we seen it happen time and time again. So I could give like respect, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. When you have like quote unquote the extremists like on the east side, eastern side of the world, to what we call them terrorists or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call them, jihads, whatever. Those people look and they see the drones go and kill their leader. And you know what they say? They got to do it to me next. I'm next up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times within our communities, we are selective black because it's all about individual benefits, personal gain. It's not about the gains of the collective or the community. It's a personal gain. I think the most selective blacks that we have are also non-blacks. The Democratic Party is the most selective black shit we've ever seen in the black community,
and I'm
right?
fucking lying.
Joe Biden, he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Kamala Harris, all those black people cried when she got in that position. Obama, Umar took his shots at him. You have a lot of people that portray to be black only to a particular level. If it get too black, then they got to back up because now it's going to hurt their individual benefits. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I'm cool with spooks that sit by the door, but at some point, if you're a spook that's sitting by the door, when do you open the fucking door for your people to come in? You can't just be a spook sit by the door for 30 years. Can't be that spook sitting by the door your whole life. Like, when the fuck do you open the door? So we even talk about this how yeah, people like Michael Shea, you know what I mean? Like he came up very open to everybody, everybody's hero, and then it's like the more millions he got, he's like, all right, I'm gonna show y'all I'm black now. It's safe now. I'm black, y'all. By the way, just in case you didn't know. So that's like the whole spook who sat by the door type of thing in real time. So, needless to say, I don't want to get too far off. We have to be down for our community and our people by all means. It's not saying throw away everything because we have people that can throw away their whole career just for being black and being openly black, right? Unapologetically. But then once they throw away their career, does the black community that they threw it away for support them? 9 times out of 10, we don't, right? the person that was willing to risk it all, I give them the support and all the love in the world, but you're doing it for people that in majority don't identify with the struggle and being black the same way you do. So sometimes it's just safe to pick your battles. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be completely unapologetically black, but Umar says some real shit. You have people that are black psychologically and then people that are black biologically. So you have to be black both ways,
Mm.
psychologically and biologically. So
Yeah, that's to be a conscious decision that you're
mhm.
implementing. All right, all right, all right. Next subject, reparations. Omar Johnson said something that really hit me. He was like, listen, we might have to go to war in order to get reparations. He said, people around the world have went to war for less and still got their reparations. Every immigrant that has hit the United States has got reparations, but America's children. Who's America's children? Black people and African Americans. Um, do you believe blood will be needs to be shed for reparations? Is that something we all should still push for, or should we move forward? And the last comment I'll make right there and there is, one thing I do like, because this will also have to tie into American foreign policy, but it's like, listen, reparations will also come with when he's talking about your ethnic culture, your background. What are you selecting as? So yeah, I just want to throw that out there as well. So you got the floor, brother.
Um, easy peasy. There has never been a time before in history to where you had liberation without bloodshed, and that's what Umar referenced as well. Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death.
Yeah.
These people were willing to do whatever it took to become a free state, free nation. When the North went against the South, when people were just trying to get their liberation from the European colonies, right? Um, you do not get liberation without bloodshed. It's kind of damn near impossible. The opposing force or the opposing race is not just going to give you an opportunity to be equal. That's not the way it works anyway.
Not at all.
So, and kind of going backwards to like the whole like being psychologically black or biologically black, right? Black people have the biggest fault at that because I don't know too many people by majority that raise their children as identifying with black. They don't have pride in being black. And if so, they don't know enough about black history to educate their black children on how great they are and where they come from. So a lot of times we got to take guilt on how we get so caught up and like he was saying, it's trying to be normal within society. And it just wasn't never meant for us to be normal within the society. We just don't fit trying to be normal. If we come from kings, queens, rulers, conquerors, if we invented science, mathematics, and built all these civilizations, why the fuck would I not learn this information to be able to pass it down to my seeds? And why would I not connect with other black individuals who know who they are as well? So you do have a division within the black community of the people that are aware of who they are consciously and the people that just want to fit in normal society and be a normal individual and a normal family and all that shit. Fuck that. You know what I mean? So we have to push that energy harder so that our children can find pride in identifying being black psychologically because we have to make that cool, right? When they go out into this blended culture and this like melting pot of cultures, they don't have anything to bring to the table. They don't have accolades. They can't say, I come from this, we invented this, we did that, because they don't know. So, you know what I mean? I think we have to do that as parents. We can't be out here having black children if we can't educate them on our black greatness and where we actually come from. That has to be like a social construct. And that's what he was speaking on as well as far as black men. We have to have a social construct that we all live by at some point. We can't just be out here just cowboying it individually. And, you know what I mean? Like we have to come together on a social construct at how we want to move the culture forward. But going back to your your question, I don't want to get too far off. Can you say the question one more time? I got too far off.
Man, I don't even know. I said going to war for reparation, man.
Yeah. And
You
yeah,
said
so
blood.
reparations, your enemy is not gonna give you a fast shot. You gotta take it, right? And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. The reason why they so quick to kill us because they know we're not going to seek no physical revenge or nothing like that. They're comfortable. So when people be like, oh, they fear us. No, they don't. They don't fear you. Nobody fears you because they know you're not about their life. You're about their life with your own, but you're not about their life with anybody else that you should be that way with. So, yeah. So the way we could kind of do it without bloodshed would have to be completely on an educational standpoint, reconstructing the family structure, rebuilding our networks and communities with each other. One of the greatest things I learned within the past week, because I've been studying a lot of businesses, Mercedes-Benz was actually rival companies. I know it's a little bit off, but I can make it fit. Those were rival companies. Mercedes was a company that was built by a man. His daughter was named Mercedes. Benz was a company that created the first automobile, right? So these both companies were rivals prior to Hitler becoming Hitler and doing everything he did. So both of these companies had to support Hitler because they were German-based companies, right? So once the war popped off, they were building military equipment and working with the Nazi regime. So once Hitler lost the war, those companies suffered. So they like, look, bet, let's come together. I'm gonna keep my name, you keep your name, but we'll come together even though we ops. But that didn't even work. So they had to come to a complete merge, Mercedes-Benz. Those were two completely different companies. So right. So even if we don't do it by bloodshed, we have to do it by coming together, bridging the gaps amongst each other, black men, black women, black men not being in competition with each other, realizing that the competition got to be outside of us. We can compete once we take over the world again, over 1, 2, and 3, and 5. You know what I'm saying? But if we continue to knock each other off for individual success, we'll never have collective success. You feel me? So these are the things we have to implement. If we're not going to do it by bloodshed, we have to do it by knowledge and information, financial literacy. We see EYL doing it. Shouts out to those brothers. Like, we've never seen this before in modern time, where we have a group of black men, mostly black men, all existing within one network, one umbrella, different branches of one tree, teaching financial literacy, health. You got the black consciousness within it, all that. We have not seen that. We were taught if you have a movement, everybody in that movement agree. You got the black Muslim movement. You got the black Christian movement. You got the black this, black that. None of those movements have ever connected. So you got it.
All right, all right. Also, when it comes to reparations, they often said we have to take back patents that was invented by black men and women. That's how you get your reparations, as well as now taking back ownership of things that were stripped away from you. Okay, next subject right here, we got the identity crisis. What the fuck are we, man? Are we Indian? Are we Moors? Are we Native Americans? Are we Moorish Templars, Moorish of science? It's one thing he said that made a lot of sense. He said, if you keep selecting different identities and we don't ever merge as one, then having reparations will never. I mean, the way he was breaking it down was
who was he going to go to?
Yeah.
All identify as different things. Who's going to go to?
Who you gonna go to? Y'all not even one. He said. Funniest thing he said, listen, man, we can all take a DNA test. I guarantee you won't have Cherokee in your blood and stuff. I looked at it like that. That was kind of funny because me and X being who we are, like we went through a path of going to extremes of consciousness, watching different YouTube, listening to different people, reading books. People kind of want to identify with the strongest, or been most beneficial. Why would you, like they said, why would you identify with a losing team, right? So if I know, like, hey, being a Native American, I can at least get Native American benefits, then I'm going to claim it. Hey, if I know being Moorish will give me sovereignty, then I'm going to be a Moor. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to find the identity that'll get you on the winning side of the government or on the winning side of having benefits of anything of that nature. So the identity crisis, should we get rid of everything and just merge under just one umbrella just because African? Or do you feel like having the roots connected where you said, like you said, You have tribes, Haitian. You have tribes, Jamaican. You have tribes, Dominican. He said the best thing he ever said out of that. He was like, they're tribes, but they're not nations. I was like, oh, I don't think people understand that, but we're so grounded into what you can say, wanting to have roots or culture. That's why people don't necessarily want to, like you said, be on a losing team. Last comment I'll say is I was out at an Afro Beats spot last weekend. I'm at a little, Caribbean place. Got the Nigerians in there, Dominicans, Belizeans. I'm there chilling, like, I'm making conversation with people. I'm like, "What's up, love? Where you?" I was like, "Where you from?" I'm from Dominican Republic. My homegirl here's from Jamaica, and the other girl here from she's Haitian. I'm like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "What about you?" I said, "Well, I'm American." They start laughing at my ass. I said, I was like, they
That
start
is funny.
laughing at me, bro. They
That's
start
funny.
laughing at me.
That is funny.
The Jamaican one was like, "Oh, poor thing." I was like, "Damn." I was like,
They're like, poor baby.
"Yeah, poor baby." I was like,
You need a hug? Yeah, like,
"Hey, you
come
know
on,
what I'm
give me a hug.
saying? You know what I'm
Good
saying?
for her.
I ain't no baby. I still bag you up, you know." It go from like just
Mhm,
that thing you try to now you gotta stand on something real quick. But
mhm.
even in that situation I was in, I was like, "Yeah, okay. There's still separation no matter what." So that was just my little comment right there when it comes to the identity thing.
All right. Um, my most sincere response is the quote unquote African American, even though we know that's not a ethnicity by definition. We're gonna have like people, even what Umar was saying. We like, look, we are the strongest black population in the world, even without the proper identification, without the ability to identify with the particular cultures and whatnot. We're still the strongest black group in the world. We have the biggest spending power, uh, two, $3 trillion in spending power. If we get our shit together here, we can have a massive influence on black people around the world because black people are oppressed everywhere. It's not just here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we're the ones that created the most influential music and hip hop and R&B and jazz and all the shit like rock, and we created all that. Our influence and imprint is on the whole world, even in the positive ways and the negative ways. We got drill culture in Africa. We got gangs all around the world. We are the shit. So once we come together and be like, look, because we have a specific trauma that other groups did not share to the extent that we share. And that's what Umar was talking about. Like the African American was a special, he didn't say this, but this is me. We are a special project. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even somebody else mentioned it. You look at it, something and it said made in America. We all got that stamp on us, made in America. The American nigga is a project that was created throughout years and years and years of oppression and work. So once we unify amongst ourselves, right, the American Negro, African American, whatever you want to call yourself, I think we can do damage, right? But I think we have to get our shit together first. Even when Malcolm made his pilgrimage to Mecca, the first thing he said is when he came back, look, I have a new perspective on human rights. I'm for humanity, but we cannot have black and white unity or any type of unity until we first have black unity within this nation. So I think that's our biggest struggle, but that has to happen. Um, Even if not all, even if not majority, the right amount to be effective in different levels and branches or whatever, if we can become organized, we can shake everything up. We got the most spending power, got the biggest influence, we got the most freedom and liberation. Um, Other people, like Umar said it, like black poverty here is not the same in Africa. Completely different. Even our poverty here is a luxury to other black people in different countries and nations. So, yes, if we get this shit right here, then we could have a massive influence. So,
All right. All right. I think we kind of spoke on this next subject was fix the division between the Americans Africans and doing it on a global level.
Mm,
Like I said, I asked my mentor. My mentor is, I have a mentor. He's Nigerian,
mm,
part of the Igbo tribe. I remember asking him before, like, hey, listen, how do we create the unity between the African American here and the Africans back home?
mm,
And it's funny, I ran into him today and we was talking about it. He was like, that's
mm,
exactly how you do it. But there's also more structure that you'll have to take into place in
mm,
consideration. One thing I liked about what Dr. Umar said on the subject was like, listen, if something happens in America, our brothers back in Africa should be able to fund the situation. If the situation happened in Africa, the brothers that's in America should be able to fund it to help Africa. And I was just like, yo, that's the ping pong effect. You're making sure everybody is covered by bouncing resources back to one another or crisis situations. You know what I'm saying? And then he also said global. So, we have brothers in Canada, all the way down to South America, you know what I'm saying, Australia. Uh, as long as you make yourself a stronghold and there's unity between all Africans globally, sure, I ain't gonna lie, that would disrupt a lot of things. It would actually force the nation and government to start listening to us more. Or, hey, you still want people around? We're gonna need something for that.
mm.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. Yes, sir. Um, I mean, they like I said, they had a really debate on black men, right? One thing that I believe, this is just my input, in 2023, we shouldn't have black boys growing into black manhood without having weapons training, some type of physical combat training. Like these are the things we fell away from. If we would have grew up, if we was having these conversations in the 60s and 70s, everything would be my brother, power to the people. We would all be in some type of political black organization group. You'll either be a Panther, you'll belong to this group down the block, this group, whatever. We have to recreate that same energy, especially as black men. If not, the gangs, the cliques, and everything else that's within the inner city will always be the most attractive because whether they are self-destructive or not, we see organizations and we see people unified. We see a collective structure, even if it's to sell drugs. It's a collective structure. We shouldn't have more black men that have a history of gang banging or selling drugs and compare to how many black men have joined the Black Panthers, Nation of Islam, Moorish Society. There's so many black groups out here. We don't deal with those groups, but we deal with the street organizations. And that's why you had people like Tupac. He gave a speech in front of Dr. Khalid Muhammad in 93, and he cursed everybody out. And he said, while y'all here debating and doing all this political bullshit, y'all need to be at war. And I think every black, I don't trust a black man that don't wake up and go to sleep every day knowing that he's at war. We ain't the same, not cut from the same cloth. And that's what his message was in 93. Whatever you have to do to put you in a state of mind of being at war, get there and do that because you are at war. You don't have time to be comfortable. You don't have time to have a lot of fun. You don't have time to fit in with the normal American society. As a black man, you're a target and you are at war. Find what you need to find and get to that state of mind and do it. Because what we tend to do is we tend to wait until it strikes home. When your family member get killed or you systematically get oppressed in real time, that's when we like, oh shit, this is real. Like, you know what I mean? So I would say black men having impact on black boys. If we can't pass that type of energy to them, I think we're failing as black men. We have to stress that yo, you're a target. You're constantly at war. You have to do 10 times more to get that position, get that education, do whatever it is, and live in that reality, but dwell and succeed at the same time. But we don't have time to have fun like everybody else is doing here. That's just my opinion in nation building. So whatever your comment is on that.
Man, I don't have too much on
Mm-hmm.
that situation. Like I said, it's more so getting things back. All
Okay.
right. Well, basically, just said what's the next bulletin I have right here is we got to go from being disorganized to becoming organized. There should be, I always talk about having structure. You just literally say gang culture has structure. You still got to have safe soldiers to do certain things, to pull off certain activities, to be able to expand to different areas. It's all structured because we understand one wrong move can mean we're going to war. So another thing he was talking about that I like was I always talk about having a multitude of counselors,
Mhm.
but I would all but when he said, you know, when it comes to organization, it's time that we start electing individuals who would be who would fit this program,
Mhm.
right? I'll just say some hypothetical names. Like let's say if I could get a, a group of black men to represent the African nation within the United States,
Mhm.
I would say fourth. I put definitely. I'm definitely going to put Dr. Umar in there. I would see if I about see. I would look at bringing Tariq Nasheed. Listen, majority you want the black educators in there, but you also want black business owners in there
Mhm.
at the same time, and you want to be able to share that power structure, or at
Mhm.
least having women available as well. Why we still need the uh, women as the power, you know, the power behind us as well as being within the structure as well. Like
Mhm.
I said, the Black Panthers were, you know, had the women was really the ones doing putting in the work for that stuff behind it.
Mhm.
They had the manpower and the strength, but they were offering women in there just making sure they do and contribute as much and do as much. So let's say if I had a round table, like I said, I put Dr. Umar Johnson in there, I put Tariq Nasheed, I put high scholars in there, business owners I put in there. I would put Robert F. Smith. I like he's a black billionaire. What's his name from what's his name? The one that's talking about epigenetic genetics. Him being he was Mike Rashid. We was just talking about it.
Billy Carson.
There you go. Billy Carson. I put Billy Carson in there. Like I said, it's time. Like, hey, listen, this sounds incredible. How about we start actually acting on it, right? It don't matter. We make a TikTok amongst each other. Like, all right, listen, this is what I would like if we had a situation
Mhm.
like that. Come up with 12, 15, 20 people
Mhm.
and see what happens. But I think that would give us a chance from having men that are educators, some that are systematic basis, some are
Mhm.
genetic based. Bro, it'd be
Mhm.
incredible. I
Yeah.
don't think nobody would be messing with it. But like I said, it takes that unity. And at the time where there was unity within the community, like I said, forming of hidden colors, more and more expanded. All of a sudden, people just start, you know, like I said, egos clash. But
Right.
yeah, what's the thought about going from disorganized to organized within our community? Like, what would you do? How should we handle that situation?
Um, and this is where I don't disagree with Umar, but it starts with individualism on the alpha end, right? Meaning that I have to create, like, as a black man, I'm responsible for finding a black woman on my frequency.
Hmm.
And from there, the two come together and build. This becomes a collective effort. And then I would have to network with other black males that's on the same frequency and vibration, on the same mission. Now we form a community. We're not waiting for somebody to give us a community or a network. We form it amongst ourselves. And I feel like if more people outside looking in see these type of things taking place, they have no choice but to follow because they see
Hmm?
you doing it in real time. You're not making excuses. You're not still in the gender-based war. Fuck her, she's saying fuck him. I can't trust you. You can't trust her. You're breaking the barriers. So that's shock value, people. We just did an episode on culture shock. That's culture shock within the culture.
Hmm.
Because if people are red pill, blue pill, purple pill, and I know all this, and it ain't gonna work, and what happens when you see black people make it work? You gotta throw that shit in trash now, because somebody's defying the odds. So now this is giving you a reference point of success. Now a succession can take place because now you have a reference of success actually taking place. We can't really build our network and build our community family wise because we don't have too many references of successful points. So you got to be the change in order to make the change. You got to make some sacrifices. You got to put in some work. It's going to be uncomfortable, but somebody's going to see that and be like, oh shit, this shit is possible. Let me follow. Okay, bet. They worked on their internal conflicts. They did this. They came up economically. These black men came together, checked their egos. Ain't nobody fighting over territory. Da, da, da. Impact. You know, we seen it was something simple as Nipsey Hussle. We seen this guy form relationship with Bloods. We seen him live and die amongst black unity, bringing businesses back to the community. Now people is like, all right, what you talking about? I wouldn't really probably side with the ops because fuck all that, but I see you doing all that. You siding with the ops, you bringing back money into the community, you still come back, you ain't leave. And that's another thing Umar said. When we become successful, we lead the community. Now you're no longer a benefit to your community because you left. So that's another thing that's important, right? I ain't saying you got to live in the community forever, but how much do you get back and to what extent do you do it? We seen Nipsey do it all. He built businesses in the community. And somebody would point out, oh, he got killed there. That's another story. But I'm just saying, he defied the odds in real time. And even if he died, his legacy lives forever because we seen somebody go against all those odds and they made it fucking happen in real time. You know what I mean? So once again, you stand on your principles and your morals and you live and die behind that shit. If it's reconstructing your neighborhood, your area, your community, your city, your state, then that's what it is. So shock value. Once we see this more and more, I think more people will follow suit. It's automatic. But it's the fear. It's a lot of people that got this shit in the back of their head, especially black men, that want to do all this shit. But it's the fear. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get the backing and the support. I don't know if I'm going to live. I don't know this. I don't know that. But when somebody else just take that step and that move and you see it happening, you have no choice but to join. You have no choice but to fix your shit now because you see somebody's doing it in front of you in real time. So that's just the importance of that. Somebody got to make the sacrifice. Another thing I could say, why do you think that in the community of black men, we don't have too many Malcolm X's, Martin Luther King's, Elijah Muhammad's, 19 Keys, like I mentioned, EYL? Why is there a disconnect to black men stepping into leadership roles versus being completely negative? Because I think when Umar brought up the Pookie and Ray Ray phenomenon, and the guy was saying, well, she chose Pookie and Ray Ray over Eli, and he was like, well, Pookie and Ray Ray exist because we allowed it to be a Pookie and a Ray Ray. So what's your take on the Pookie and Ray Ray situation versus your 19 Keys, your all these different people? Where does the Pookie and Ray Ray come from? And why is that more popular?
Well, from what I know, Pookie Ray Ray is basically this is the thing. People want to say Pookie and Ray Ray are black individuals that grew up without a father figure within their life, who pretty much went into, how can you say it, street culture, gang culture, being, whatever the typical dope dealer, street dealer, whatever it is, quote unquote, the roughneck. I need a roughneck, whatever you want to call it. But I'm also looking at that situation at the same time. Like, we call them a Pookie Ray Ray, but I also look at, okay, in the white culture, they wouldn't be called Pookie Ray Rays. They just called rebels. They're just called bad boys. They're just called something else. So one thing we like to try to affect is, like, I'm gonna stay focused on my community, but I gotta put y'all on game. Like, that would just be the opposition. He would just be a rebel or a bad boy. Boys like that. He said Pookie Ray Rays get created when black men are not present within their life. I say, okay, cool. I've always been an individual that believes in. If you have a well-trained child, even without a father figure that's present, other men will still gravitate to that child willingly. Why? Because he's already disciplined. It's easier to train, develop somebody's skill level and character if they're ready for it. If somebody's already reckless, being disrespectful, causing chaos, why would I gravitate to it and want to, how can you say, course correct it? I'll say course correct. Why would I want to course correct somebody who's already lashing out at men if they haven't already been respectful towards men? So we got when men are not present, like I said, systematically, situations like that can happen where men so much, grow up the way they do. Now, as it comes for leaders, Malcolm X, 19 Keys, one thing I have learned studying both those generational types is technically what was I would say Malcolm X became a Pookie after his father died. If you want to get technical, because then he had going to prison. Then after prison, he reformed. Then he became Malcolm X. He went through that. He had his freedom stripped away, and he started becoming more willing. Once I forgot his name, the guy that introduced him to the Nation of Islam, and he was able to rebuild his mind and come from there. Sometimes they always say if you strip away somebody's freedom, the more somebody might be able to listen to. Back then, for Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, I would also say depending on we could talk about the that generation where men in suit and ties, stuff like that, that was more appealing, right? It's easier to follow when it's more appealing. Today, it's not like, yo, what's the point of doing that? If you pay attention to people, how they convey their message from 19 Keys, Brother Polite, they convey their message also by being what's the word more culture, more fashionable. You see the jewelry, you see the excess in wealth or materials at the same time, and make you want to gravitate into becoming these people.
Mm-hmm.
If it was so easy as just putting on a suit and talking, then what I'm saying, people might not just so much want to connect with it. What's the thing that you said, Brother Polite said? He said, "Listen, you want to connect with me? Come eat some fried chicken, get a grape soda, and go through the same things I went through, so where we can connect and relate." But now, at the same time, being a leader, there's certain things you have to do on a cultural basis to make other people want to gravitate to it, right? The way you and I talk, man. Some people look at us like, okay, that's normal. Then somebody might look at me and say, like, okay, there's a dude in a suit and there's one that's always casual. I can fuck with the dude who's always casual because I can see myself as that. And then another brother might be like, see, I can see myself developing myself and then get into it. It's all about how you connect with your image. Image does play a part into why people want to do more or less. I say environment plays a role as well, but yeah, that's all I got on that situation when it comes to Pookie and recreation. Is like I said, when it comes to the leaders, so it gets created with strong men that are around at the same time. So
Facts. Um, this is my thing. Besides the natural niche and the connection to being a revolutionary, we got YouTube. I mean, you could pull up any Malcolm X speech, any Martin Luther King speech. You can dissect it, memorize it, commit it to memory. We have too much access to information to say that we actually need. I'm not saying you don't need male influence around you in order to become great like these individuals, but sometimes you got to take what you got and work with it, especially when you have access to their works. And other generations weren't privy, right? It's either you grew up in the era to hear this shit and see these people do it, or you didn't know it exists. I didn't really know Malcolm X existed, and to be able to actually learn it, what he was talking about, and get like familiar with his message until I was in high school, right? So, needless to say, even breaking down, Pookie and Ray Ray don't come from a lack of masculinity or male energy per se, because you have somebody like 19 Keys. That's why I brought him up, because he was born into the Nation of Islam. Both of his parents was in there, so he grew up with knowledge of self, but he still took to the streets regardless, right? He just came back to it later. So, needless to say, a lack of masculine energy is sometimes it's part of the problem. But however, the problem that everybody look over is poverty. Poverty is a bitch. So the more we start behind the eight ball as a people, the more that we raise families and have children out of poverty. This is the problem. Somebody has to break the cycle of poverty. Somebody has to break that cycle, because at the end of the day, the same reason why the black man can't grow into his leadership role and his true identity the same way the black woman can't grow into her feminine state and her soft era and be what she's meant to be, it's all linked to poverty. That's the reason why even though she's talented, she still got to be naked on TV. It's the reason why even though he got a gift and he's talented, he still got to portray to be a thug. When you look at Ja Morant, he's a basketball player. Why is he portraying to be a thug? It might be linked to some type of poverty. I ain't saying he grew up poor. Poverty don't mean you grew up poor. You know what I'm saying? Dave Chappelle broke that down great. He said, look, I didn't grow up in the hood, but I had more poverty than the white people I grew up around. That's a different type of poverty. It's still poverty. So, needless to say, once we bridge that wealth gap, then I think we'll see different results. But that goes back to financial literacy, making sure generations behind us not just inherit wealth, because they may not inherit wealth, but let's at least give them the mind state and the rules to the game so that they can push the envelope even further. So that'll be my close, man. We overlooking poverty and we picking out everything else. So
Okay. Okay. We just hit our marker right now. I believe we still got some points to discuss. Do you feel?
if you got something else, I'm cool with it.
Okay, cool. How did you understand the way racism was explained the way he explained it?
Mhm.
That was a whole different level for me. I was like, I always understood being racist was based on slurs, pretty much slurs, and being derogatory towards another race, and just. But the way he explained it on the institutions,
Mhm.
uh, I was just like, holy
Mhm.
shit.
Right.
Like it really hit me in the head. I said I never
Mhm.
looked at it like that because the way racism was taught to me, like, hey, listen, a white person says this about you, they're racist, and they use these words, they're racist. They use these stereotypes, they're racist. They
Mhm.
profile you, they're racist.
Mhm.
But then he went, like I said, institution. He started talking
Mhm.
about funding. He started talking about advantages of job employments, banking systems. I was like, oh wow.
Yes.
I'm curious on your thoughts on that and the way he explained racism on the level
Mhm.
he did within that interview.
Yeah. I'm familiar with it, and I totally agree. It's a difference between being racist and race loyal. Black people have this open love for everybody and accepting everybody by way of religion, especially, and just by way of being human. And that's completely negative, right, in the real world because race loyalty comes first. This is what gives you your system of culture, customs, and tradition, and everything else. Race loyalty is first. So that automatically puts everybody into a state to where by group there's going to be a competitive state. If you're not competing by group, you lost. If you're competing by basis of being an individual, you lost. So it's pretty much what he was saying, and you can't be racist if you can't oppress another group based on systematic oppression and power. If you don't own any institutions, you can't be racist. That's We have a negative connotation and an incorrect connotation to the word being racist. So it's not about hate. It's not about none of that. You have to be able to oppress another group, like steal their history, enslavement, like credit, redlining, et cetera, et cetera. That's racism. You know what I'm saying? Slurs and disrespect and none of that. That's lightweight. That's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's nothing. So we have to actually learn the way of the world. That's how the world works. Race loyalty is first because you belong to something. You're not an individual, and you can love everybody else, but first you gotta love yourself. There's nothing
Mm.
wrong with being a humanitarian, but my people come first. I belong to something. And I say this. It's a little off tangent for another episode, but I heard a Gabrielle Union interview today. It gave me a new perspective for her. She constantly mentioned, I'm black, my race, my family, my culture. It's like, damn. You know what I mean? She kept saying it over and over again. I'm black, my race, my culture. And sometimes it don't happen until people go into the world with this open mind state of we all human, and then you get doors shut in your face, and then you're like, oh shit, this is real. So, needless to say, racism has a different type of connotation, and how he said like, I mean, sometimes Umar do the most. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say that he did. To say
Hey,
all
yo,
to say all white people are racist from his perspective, I understood it because he was like, I'm paraphrasing, but no white person is gonna trade their life for your life as far as exposure and ranking and opportunities. Like they don't love you that much to where they like, look, I go to the hood with you. Let's live the same way. I'm gonna give. I don't want no opportunities. I don't want no white passes. I don't know nobody that's gonna do that. Look, somebody got to get past the police when we get pulled over. I wouldn't even want you to get that up if we're in the same car. Somebody got to get us out this jam. You know what I mean? That's just me. So, there's nothing wrong with nobody admitting, but that's my problem. I can't be friends with somebody from another race if you can't admit that you got some type of privilege or opportunities that other people don't have. That's disingenuous. So, as long as we can be genuine about what really goes on in the world and the disadvantages and advantages, cool. We can all be humans and exist as one. So,
okay, okay. I want to go. I'm going to hit you in the head with this one
mhm,
because I heard you subscribe to this one. The message of being pro-black.
mhm,
He said, "Hey, listen, there's no pro-Mexicans, there's no pro-whites, there's no pro-Latinos, but
mhm,
you have pro-black." Personally, I never subscribe to that. I never subscribe to that. There's certain things if I don't really truly understand or I feel like I connect with, I don't say any of that. So
mhm,
when he was like, "Why do you have to subscribe yourself as a pro-black person, um,
mhm.
just to have love for your own race?" And I was just like,
Right.
I connected with a lot of things he was saying on that. What are your thoughts on the pro-black comment when he was like, "There's no point in like subscribing to it or feeling like you need to in order to love yourself?"
Yeah, I agree. It comes from my identity crisis. If you're born into the world in America as a black individual and you don't identify as black, then you get the culture shock. And it's like you're forced to identify as black because there's going to be some things that happen in your life that you're going to look at as incorrect, disadvantaged, right? So now you get the quote unquote black identity, right? But then you have the majority black and then you have the outside black, which would be the pro black. This gives the conscious black person an identity. But all throughout time, that person was shitted on and disrespected from black people. Even still to this day, black people do not fuck with that type of black person. That's the nigga that's tripping. That's the nigga they make fun of in the movies. That's like, yeah. And then my brother is so systematically I'm being oppressed. And so what I'm trying to say is, you got $5 I can borrow. Like they make sure they give him that type of role in the movie to where he's crazy for being black, right?
Mhm.
So I understand the importance of saying pro-black because growing up being black in America is nothing to be proud of. If it's outside of sports and entertainment, dance moves, shit like that, it's not nothing to be proud of. So when you say, oh, pro-black, you letting people know, okay, I know who the fuck I am. I know I'm conscious. I know where I come from. So I understand that. But that's going back to the identity crisis. The older you get, the more mature you get. You should just know that, quote unquote, being pro-black should be normal. There should be no black people 30, 40, 50 years old that don't have knowledge of self outside of what you were taught in school. So yeah, that's a failure amongst black people that we have. It shouldn't be the youngest people within our families that have the most knowledge and information on black history, true, authentic black history, not just the norm. So
Well, I got about like two more. I
yeah.
really like 10, but
I have to.
I even try to make this that long. Uh, Black Lives Matter and multicultural.
Mhm.
I like everything he fucking said. I've been saying this for the longest.
Mhm.
I said every time a situation pops out, black people want everybody to join them in a situation. Instead of just sticking to things that are, hey, this is dealing with our race, we don't need your help.
Mhm.
You can help by not being there. One of my favorite things Malcolm X said in the Malcolm X movie. What did he say?
Mhm.
Like, well, hey, listen, Malcolm, I just want to be able to help. Is there
Not
anything
doing
you
nothing.
do? Nothing.
Yeah.
You can help by doing nothing. Like,
Mhm.
and until we learn that it takes us and only us to make a big shift movement, and
Mhm.
everything will be infiltrated.
Mhm.
Like I said, Black Lives Matter, that's infiltrated.
Mhm.
Every march they had, it was infiltrated. Like it
Mhm.
went from just blacks to like you have everybody that's in it.
Mhm.
So once you have everybody participating, guess what happens at the end? It still falls on black people because of the name itself. So they were just talking about the situations with the Hispanics within California, taking up those freeways, letting them know, like, hey, listen, this is just us. We don't need nobody else. I don't. That's really a big impact because I always say, listen, we're always open arms and want to share our pain with people at the same time, but nobody wants to actually share the experience of having that
Mhm.
pain. Yeah, some stuff has to literally be 100% us. That's why you got to be careful on who organizes some of these things. Like I said, I was peeping game when Black Lives Matter was having the movement go on. They were like, "Hey, we're here at 9 o'clock. We're over here about 10 o'clock." Here, I was like, "Okay." I was like, "That's cool." But then, like I said, the more people it started expanding, they even started getting more footage of they had whites vandalizing property. But guess who it fell back on? The blacks.
Mhm.
They had that happen at Target. Remember this talking about Target a lot. Target was getting hit up. But guess what? The people who was initiating it, they wasn't even black. So it's like, hey, listen, once the doors open in one direction, everybody's gonna go through it. But if they see the main group or organization of people, and it's like, hey, fuck it, that we got them.
Mhm.
That's all they're gonna do, vandalizing their own streets and properties. But yeah, what do you got on that when it comes to Black Lives Matter and multicultural people infiltrating our organizations or joining in saying they want to help? Uh, what do you say? Moving the ball along from, hey, it's not just about black people, but every situation was about a black person. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on that, man?
Um, I mean, you nailed it. I won't add too much. We have to close the door and be confident in closing the door and know that we're doing the right thing. Look, even within our communities, we grow differently. We want to separate the boys from the girls, the men from the women. Even if you go to a family kickback or get together, you're gonna see people separated by age groups. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's gonna be some separations at some point, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because different people connect with each other differently based on by way of their connections. So it's the same energy with us. We have to learn how to close the fucking door. And of course, you'll have infiltration amongst people that look like you, but that's a whole nother purging process. But as long as black people make their progressive state based on religion, uh, humanitarian acts, sexual preference organizations, and everything else, you're never going to get liberation from where you started because you're co-opting so much. All that shit cannot coexist at the same time because what's going to tend to happen if who you're going against, let's just say if it's successful, if I got to pick who do I settle with, I'm still going to make a choice as an opposing force on who is best for me to settle with out of the group. If it's three groups come together, I'm gonna pick the group that I want to settle with the most, just to calm everybody else down. So it's gonna have to be division amongst like people. Just black people have to lose the whole humanitarian type of thing, just for momentarily. We can do that shit later. We can build the world. We built the world actually, and that's a problem. We built the world. Like pyramids, castles, infrastructures, religion, systems. We've done all that. We got to stray away from that because at the end of the day, we're so busy trying to fix everything else. That's like the old folks saying, before you try to clean up somebody's house, sweep your own porch type shit. Like, don't forget about your own porch and your own house. So you got it.
All right, all right. Like I said, in the future we'll do longer episodes when we get on YouTube. Don't forget to always subscribe to the YouTube channel anyway. I'm gonna tie these two in together, and then I'll probably have one more out there.
Cool.
Dating outside your race and black women in marriage. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I was just asking myself. Okay, one thing is Dr. Umar said. He said, knowing that only 1 out of 4 black women will get married. You should automatically
Mm-hmm.
uh, marry a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So a thought in my mind went into my head was, if those numbers was higher, would it then be okay? Because it was only based off the percentage of what he's saying. It's only 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 4. If the ratio was higher, would it have mattered? Then we broke down more statistics and numbers. We said, listen, 87% of black men are marrying black women. Then we went into the basis of like what's called majority of black men are still within their child's life or within the household. So when it comes to dating outside your race, I also look at it like this. Listen, I'm attracted to beautiful women. Tell you straight up. Juice always said his preference was black and brown. And look, I'm gonna stick to that shit till I die. Anyways, I always looked at it like this. If somebody is getting a greater number and impact, why is it that we don't model it to see if our numbers will increase? So we always talk about Kevin Sanders. Kevin Sanders said, listen, black women can get on the court, and black men, you make sure you get on your shit. There should be no problem with us. Our marriage rate should be increasing, but it's not increasing now.
Mm-hmm.
But can you be comfortable with a black man dating outside his race? Because now I hear this on multiple times in my life now. Is look, it's okay for a black woman to marry outside their race or date outside their race, but as a black man, you can't. I told you before, I met a woman who said it straight up to me. My daughter can date outside her race, but my son is not allowed to. So, I mean, I'm just kind of curious on that, man. Date outside your race. What do you think about that situation? Should black men wait uh, on the opportunity to marry a woman that's ready? Should he take a woman as she is and then help her out? I'm just kind of curious, man.
All right, so look, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be both sides of me on this one. I ain't gonna be left or right. I'm gonna be both sides of me. So in one space, it's 2023. You feel me? Yo, like it's a lot of races of women that look different than what they've ever looked before. Black men are the most sought out men in the world. So I mean, for those black men and that shit worked for them, great. I can't say 100%. I understand where Umar was coming from. Who you marry, you're married to that culture and that society. I get it, and we all supposed to be black by blood and death. And trust me, I get it. But I mean, there's some situations where things align, things happen. You know what I mean? And I can't just discredit. You know what I'm saying? That whole process. Me personally, like I said, I wasn't trained to be quote unquote to think a certain way when it comes to being black. I kind of gravitated to it naturally. So it's plenty times on a day-to-day basis that you see things that's appealing from opposing races, but it's like, damn man, I just read this fucking documentary on fucking Marcus Garvey and the Pan African movement. Got all this black shit in my house. I just don't feel right, man. You know what I'm saying? Like what they say, like if you can scrutinize yourself, that's your conscience talking to you, so it ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the God and the devil in one ear, so to speak. But it's some people that really just not on that type of frequency and vibration. They're just not. They just don't have that self infliction to where they like, man, this shit just don't feel right. Some people on some individual shit, they can build and connect with people from different groups. That's another story. Does some of it come from self-hate? True. Some of it come from I've had this conversation with people before. Like let's just say I'm gonna speed it up. Let's just say, look, I grew up in a successful community. I moved out the black community. My kids don't know that all black this, all black that. They're in a melting pot. They're gonna have access to different races of people than what I had growing up because I grew up in a
Man,
black.
that's the key thing I
So
was waiting for. We
so when
have
they
access.
come home with this, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody got choices. It's 2023, you know what I'm saying? So I won't be too left and right on it. But if it's self-inflicted, if you got that voice in your ear that's like, this shit just, I don't know, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Malcolm and Martin is watching me while I do this. It ain't for you. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of
Like, you feel
Malcolm
me?
and
Like,
Martin,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Both of them watching you some
Malcolm,
dog.
I give you Malcolm.
Both of them?
I give you
Go
one.
ahead.
I give you one. I give you
Yeah,
one.
so I was just saying it's very interesting. 2023, being a black male is a hell of a ride, hell of an experience. You know what I mean? Everybody wants you. I can't judge everybody, but I would definitely say on the political structure, yeah, we don't fix the black community unless we fix the black family structure. So that's always key. So yeah, of course, some people may have to make some sacrifices, but everybody ain't built for that. Let's just be real. Everybody ain't built for it. Some people go left, some people gonna go right. But I don't think that they should be completely excluded from the whole like uh progressive state of being black just because they do that. You know, it's conflicting. It's conflicting. Some people say they can't. You can't. Like Kamala Harris, for example. It's like, look, she cannot do anything for black people when she go home to a white family. Her loyalty is going to be to who she go home to. So it's conflicting. Man. It's conflicting. So
Mm, mm, mm. All right. All right. So last comment I'll make was the changing the direction of men. It was talking about hey, men need to get more involved with kids, my fault with mothers who don't have what was that who don't have a father in their presence or dad in their life. I forgot exactly how he said it. Someone on the basis of
he was simply saying black men are responsible for black boys,
black boy.
pretty much.
That's what I'm saying. Changing the direction of men.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's say men get active. I mean, I always been a person like, listen, uh, statistics and numbers from generalizations and stuff like that, we always look at will come into effect. Um, let's say the direction of men is changing, right? Black men are getting involved. You got the Community Dad Project. I mean, shoot, they got a Big Brother program, the Community Dad. You know what a Community Dad is? It's basically that black man that was married, but he was basically everybody's husband at the same time. Why? He could do it all. He was a plumber. He helped fix people's tires, auto mechanics, help put things up in the household. He was a community dad. So um, I do believe that's something that he was talking about. Hey, listen, everyone, I know you talk about every Saturday, black men should get together and get these boys together, whether they start, attacking homework or doing something of that nature. But being a community dad, that's a big responsibility at the same time. There was a quote that went to my mind immediately when he was like, "Hey, listen, uh, if men get change the direction of men from young boys into better men, will change the community." But I also said, "Well, listen, if men are focusing on uh, boys becoming better men on a long run." A quote in my head, it was like, "A nation can rise no higher than its women." So I was like, if men are doing the work. Uh, will women be also doing the work in order for the marriage rate to increase at the same time if
Mhm.
men are already in that position? One of the things Kevin Samuels always argues, like, listen, these men are now up here. These black men are here. They're ready. They want to get married, but guess what? They're not finding the women at the same time. So,
Mhm.
like I said, if we're now being the community fathers and the
Mhm.
sons are getting right for the next generation, was then what would then happen for the marriage rate to increase? So I'm just kind of curious, man. Yeah, I put on that.
I do it like this. I had a coworker, a Hispanic coworker, who both all his kids they belong to him and his wife, and he's successful at providing, even though she worked, whatever. This is a whole nother race of people. I was like, yo, how was your Father's Day? He was like, man, get out of here. I ain't get shit. Two, putting one kid in college, another one getting ready to go to college. Him and a wife, stayed together throughout the whole process, and it hit me. This is not. Look, sometimes just being a man and being a father is a thankless. It's a thankless job.
Correct.
You may not never see the fruits of your labor the way you want to see them. It's a thankless job. You know what I mean? So we just have, like Umar was saying, like we have to be patient with our women because they endured some shit that other women never went through, never could imagine going through. So my whole thing is like, if you're a black man, you're really doing the right things to not just make money, not just uh, be that God energy that you know you come from, and not just being successful, but you also work on healing. You fixing that broken boy pain, you fixing your mommy issues. It's a lot of relationships I went through with women that I didn't listen to them because at the end of the day, I had mommy issues. I had issues that my grandmothers died before I was 18 years old. Sometimes you feel like people left you. So once we address all that as black men and you constantly heal, you will find a black woman on your frequency that will submit to your energy and y'all will be able to work it out. That goes back to selection. Umar told him, look, you have to find out what is it about you where you keep attracting these low vibrational black women. That went over a lot of people's head. So that's just me. Anytime you really truly on your program as a man, you will easily find a woman that will submit. Will you have to be a little bit patient with it? Yeah, of course, because y'all both come from poverty, you both come from broken homes to a certain extent, you both come from damage. So you're on a healing process and journey together. Shit ain't gonna be perfect when you just can't expect it to just fit and she gonna treat you like a man, you gonna treat her like a man. That shit ain't gonna happen like that. You're gonna have conflict. That goes back to patience. So yeah, the black man with the black boy scenario. Look, you only can do the best you can do. You can't save everybody. You save who you can. Like, it's not going to be a perfect world to where just because I'm a black man and I step up and I take care of as many black boys or black children as I can, that I'm gonna get the accolades and it's gonna be a smooth sail and all that. No, because you're working with a generation of people that don't trust each other. I feel like if I marry her, I may end up on I may end up in divorce court paying alimony or paying child support. She feel like if she marry you and give you all the trust or whatever, you're gonna leave over somebody else and she's gonna have to take you to court probably. I don't know. It's distrust on both sides. So that goes back to healing.
When they
And
say everybody uses each other as a
yeah,
scapegoat.
yeah. So to sum all that up, it's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be easy, but it's just who you impact in the way. It's not about impacting a million. If I can impact 100, fuck it. If I can impact 10, fuck it. I'll take that, and I'll shift that. You know what I'm saying, towards moving the culture forward. So it don't have to be a huge majority. It's just who you impact. Just until you close your eyes, just make sure you put in that work and do what it takes to, you know what I'm saying, on the individual level. When it comes to religion, people will do whatever they can to get to heaven. That's their whole focal point. When I die, I got to go to heaven. I don't want to go to hell. What if we have that same energy in the black community? Look, when I die, I want to make sure I'm impacting my culture and my race to the best of my ability. Fuck it. If you get to heaven by a slit of a crack, you don't care. You fuck it. You made it to heaven. Like,
What
fuck it,
up,
bro.
Tupac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's saying, oh, you perfect. That's why you here. And I slid by the crack because I was, bro, we both in heaven. So let's have that same energy to
Hey,
uplift.
hey, well, look, we both here, man. Shut up, man. Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah,
get a drink.
yeah. No one.
All right, man.
You want to check your card when you get to heaven and be like, well, I gave to this many people. You only gave to this many people. Bro, we both got our wings and all white. We both made it.
We in white, man. You know what I'm saying?
Toast champagne to achievements. Hopefully you're not drinking at heaven. That's another story.
Man,
But you got it.
drinking Henny, drinking Henny, man. You
You
ain't
got
drinking
the
Jesus, you drinking Henny.
ginger juice, yeah, wine.
I mean, you said Henny, bro. Come on, dog. You
Yeah,
just said,
yeah, yeah.
I ain't gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask you how you get that up here.
Had a homie in the back gate. Snuck it through the back gate. You feel me?
The back
Yeah.
gate is hell. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot, man.
Yeah, good episode, man. Good episode. You ain't got nothing.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. There's like I said, there's some things I would target. That's definitely way longer conversation than what it is. That's how we try to keep everything to within an hour minimum, um, 90 minutes tops. But yeah, we just want to give y'all the reaction of like how we interpreted certain things. Like I said, we didn't go into deeper detail. Like I said, yeah, I missed some of the best conversations when it's just me and him on the phone amongst each other. I think the first time we talked about it, we were on the phone damn near 3 hours. This month, hey, hey, listen, but like I said, when it's time to put the information out there, it's all about having the correct energy and making sure everybody's entertained, informed, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Tell them where they can reach us, man.
That's all. always, Talking and Talk Official Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content. Follow us on IG as well. And we're on TikTok at Talking and Talk Official. Thank you for watching. Make sure you come back for more content. Like I said, we do this twice a week. You know what I mean? We do this. We do this in our sleep. It's light work, light work.
That's right. That's right. What's Thursday subject, man?
All right, so we're gonna have that 50-50 talk. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do that 50-50 talk. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people in relationships feel like they, if you do 50-50 is weak. You know what I'm saying? Man's supposed to do 100%. This is inspired by Gabrielle Union did an interview a couple of months prior, and I hate saying that, man. Gabrielle Wade. I'm so sorry. She did an interview, and then Dwayne Wade did an interview recently with Shannon Sharp, and he addressed the whole 50-50 thing in their relationship. So we're just going to talk about it, man, how, that relationship gets their scrutiny, get their praise at the same time, but 50-50 was definitely a catalyst to have a bigger conversation. So, yeah, we're going to have that 50.
Man, before we end, man, I just want to ask you a question.
Mhm.
I haven't watched the interview
Uh-huh.
yet. Does she say Wade at the end, or does she still think of herself as Union?
I never heard her say her name in the interview. That's just
Okay.
me. I watched the interview. But I do understand, like, marketing, actor, like, type of scenario. I think Jada Pinkett was one of the ones that, like, put a hyphen with that shit. Jada Pinkett Smith, but, I would have to actually go back to, like, every actress and see if they put their marriage name on it. I don't know. That switch the
Man,
glasses
it's
with
what
her.
you last.
Hey, it's me, man. It's me, man. It's me.
All right, man.
Yeah, I come in peace, man. I come in peace. I don't know. I don't know if she said her name or not, man. My
Hey,
bad, man.
hey, listen, man. That's all I need to know. All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all later on this week.
I'm gonna get a phone call as soon as you try. Nigga, what? Let me take your suit off. Okay, so I
Oh
can
man,
stop.
listen, it's time for me to do today. Like I said, today is soon of the month. I'm about to do my clones real quick. Like I said, we'll catch y'all later on, man. Y'all have a blessed night, and we'll come back at you with more quality content. Peace.